The following may contain language that is not suitable for all audiences.
Oops, we're recording.
It's time for the Low Fact Podcast.
One of these days I'll get it right.
You can't even bang two little bells together.
Well, it's kind of tricky.
That's kind of funny. So, in continuation of what we were talking about last time, I guess I would call it we're living in the company store.
Okay.
And the fact is this.
Living in the company store?
Yeah, because, we're living on the mine.
Right.
Because, for some reason, this country has decided collectively, and when I say decided collectively because this has allowed this to happen, bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger things, companies are controlling our lives. And I've been one that has never been for collectivism. And it could just very well be because of my perception that I've not done very well in large bureaucratic organizations.
When did you ever work? Well, actually, no, you did. You worked for some big companies.
I've worked for
you worked for giant companies, yeah.
I've worked for some colossal companies.
Which you're not going to name.
No.
But I know one of the ones you're talking about.
And,
Because I was like, no, you didn't. And then I was like, oh, wait. I was like, the company you work for is massively bigger than... Well, actually, okay, so, yeah. It's a giant company.
The company I work for is bigger than any company you've ever worked for? Is that what you're saying?
Yes. Because I was thinking, oh, well, maybe one of the companies I'm doing some stuff with now, but it's bigger than that company.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or it was. It still is.
Yeah.
Even though it's sold off a lot of its stuff.
Yeah.
No, but our lives are really being consolidated into these giant organizations, and I, for the life of me, can't imagine why you would want that. That's the issue I have with the whole socialized medicine thing.
Mm-hmm.
Is and this is gonna be like sounded like everybody else, right? But I don't see how people who think that the same people who bring you the DMV is gonna get healthcare right. All these people that think the police suck, right? All these people like defund the police suck, they're evil, they're awful. Why do you have such hatred for the police and yet believe that the same people in charge of the police are going to be able to all of a sudden magically get your health care right?
I don't know, man.
Could you imagine if our food supply was run like the DMV?
Oh my god, it would be like some communist country.
It wouldn't be like some communist country. It would be a communist country, and we would all starve to death.
Right. Actually, so I was in the grocery store earlier on this week, and speaking of communist countries, right? So there's this woman there, and I was like, oh my god! I was like, America drives me crazy. There's way too much choice at the grocery store, and she goes, I like it. And I was like, why do you like it? I was like, it's just confusing. And she was like, I grew up in Cuba.
Oh. And
she was like, when we went to the grocery store in Cuba, there was nothing.
Well,
and I was like, okay. I was like, you win.
Yeah. Here's the choice. Way too much of everything or nothing at all.
But you know what the next thing she said was? She said, but ironically, she was like, here I am in California. And she's like, it's going the same way.
Well.
And I was like, wow. And she was an older woman.
Okay.
She was not young.
Well, yeah, she grew up in Cuba, I mean.
But yeah, she was like, I like choice. She was like, that's what I like about America.
And that's the funny thing. I mean, there's all these people that think that we should be like Europe or the rest of the world, and I don't think that they think that in the same way that is being, because the globalists get a pretty bad rap. Like, the globalists, blah, blah, this, the globalists, that. And I'm just like, they just don't want to have a country.
That's a term that people throw around a lot as well.
Yeah,
globalists.
They're I think that they're pretty true ideological communists. And I'm just like, well, I don't know that that's a great thing. But going back to the company store thing, I mean, fewer and fewer companies are running more and more stuff. And so, you either survive by lashing on,
Well, I think people think, okay, or what?
Or you break free, like Freddie Mercury said.
I want to break free.
You know, I'd much rather let him sing that than you.
I was going to keep on saying, but
Please
if you don't. Wow, man.
Dude, that is worse than a medieval torture device, man. If we could
I think my falsetto is pretty good.
we could send you to any hot spot in the world to interrogate prisoners. 2 minutes of your singing, they'll be just telling you everything.
Whatever, dude. I'm offended. I need to go to my safe space now.
Oh, please.
I wouldn't mind having a safe space, though.
Be a man.
I had a thought and now it's gone.
If it had to do with safe spaces, I'm glad it's gone.
No, it was before that.
No.
Whatever we were talking about.
Maybe it will come back.
No.
But, this whole thing, like there are people sitting there saying that what's going on right now is the greatest wealth transfer in history. And that is going from the poor to the rich. Okay, so the government prints a boatload of money and, gives it to everybody. And where do they spend it? They spend it at Amazon and Walmart and all these junk. So why don't they just kind of cut out the middleman, print up a bunch of money, and give it to those people anyway? Oh, why? Because we need to have goods?
I was pretty amazed when the lockdown first started, because it's always a good indicator in my building. I live in an apartment building and there's a bunch of different neighbors. It's always a good indicator as to how much people are buying in terms of how quick the trash and the recycling fills up. And dude, people were buying shit tons of stuff online. Just shit tons. And I was like, how can they afford this? That's the thing that really struck me. Because I was like, they don't know how long this is going to go on for. Like, why are people spending money like it's going out of fashion?
Well, if the government keeps on printing out money, it will be going out of fashion very soon.
I mean, isn't that a little foolish?
Well, I don't think anyone ever accused people of being smart.
Anybody that's sitting there and taking that $1,200 and just like blowing it, I'm like, man, you're...
Well, they might need to. What if they don't have...
No, I'm not talking about putting it on rent or food. I'm talking about just buying something, $1,200.
Like $1,200 worth of Lululemon apparel?
Whatever, yeah.
Do you even know what Lululemon is?
Yes, of course I do.
Well, then if you knew, then that would be a... You would think, wow, that is a very astute observation there, Dave. Or are you so hateful that you don't want to acknowledge my astuteness?
A little bit of both.
Wow, I even set you up perfectly for something, and you were like, you didn't even take the bait.
What was the setup?
Talking about my astuteness. You could have been like, you mean your stupidity, or I wouldn't call it astute, or there's tons of things you could have smacked me down on with that.
I saw a dude wearing Lululemon. I'm like, what is going on?
I feel like Michael Ironside in Top Gun.
How's that?
Well, I'm setting you up for a perfect shot and you won't take it because you're gun shy. Because Goose just died and you can't get back in the saddle. You won't engage.
Get him in the air as soon as possible.
I was so excited for that Top Gun movie to come out.
When's it coming?
Well, it's supposed to come out now, but now it's coming out in the summer.
Is it going to be theaters anymore?
I don't know. I think there will be. I mean...
There has to be. People still want to go see a movie in a theater.
Yeah, but I bought a big TV.
Your TV is very big.
So it's like being in a theater at my house.
And I'm very jealous because I still have a small TV. My TV is ancient.
Well, I only bought the big TV because the old TV was kind of on its last legs, and my parents were kind of giving me crap about the small TV.
The only time I see my TV now is in movies from the early 2000s. It's very sad.
But speaking of theaters, why are people getting their nose in such a joint or disjointed when the betters sit there and say, y'all need to stay at home, and then the news comes out that these people are not doing what they say?
Because it's this whole idea, this idea of fairness that we all have. That's not fair.
But these people are supposed to be their betters, and y'all voted. They voted for them. I don't see how anybody in the Democratic Party or anybody who voted for Gavin Newsom or Eric Garcetti or Lori Lightfoot or Nancy Pelosi or whoever the mayor of Austin is, or everybody, right? I mean,
Well, there's plenty of Republicans that are elites too.
well, sure, but no one sits there and thinks that I don't see how you can vote for these people and sit there and say, "Oh, I don't believe that they did that. That's so unfair. That's crazy. They shouldn't do that." Like, but you voted for these people.
Well, the idea is that if I give you my vote, you're not supposed to just, you're not supposed to be an elite. Well, you're not supposed to. You're supposed to be taking care of my interests.
How about you take care of your own interests?
People don't want to do that.
Then people should not want to breathe anymore.
I mean, we talked about this, the local politics, that getting involved locally.
Well, that's the only thing.
You know how much work that is?
Sure, I do, and I'm
I mean,
also,
you don't do it.
Well, that's right, I don't.
Well, no, you do a little bit, actually. You do more than I do. You're involved in the affairs at your,
Yeah, but that's my whole thing. Like, how can you? I don't understand the whole desire to sit there and give away your agency, to have somebody else do junk for you. I don't get that on a personal level.
That's just you, though. No, I mean, there's plenty of people like you, but I think you're in the minority.
Okay.
Like, I think that there's more of the other people who want to have somebody else do shit for them.
Why do you want to be a baby?
I don't know, dude.
Yeah, that's a rhetorical question. I mean, why would you?
Well, I specialize in answering the rhetorical question.
Well, yeah, but I mean, why do you want to be a baby?
I don't know.
I mean, what about that? I mean, and that goes for the weird fetish people that like to wear the adult sized diapers and act like little babies.
Mm-hmm. Well, that's just a fetish.
I don't see how you get off sexually on that, but hey.
Why is it always the Brits?
I don't know, but I don't understand that. And when people sit there and talk about there's not enough personal responsibility, I'm just sitting there going, okay, but I don't see why you wouldn't want the ball.
I think
to throw in a sports analogy in there.
I guess it's just people are more immature than they were. It's the whole infantilized. Is that the word?
Yes, it is. It is. I mean, look. You know for a fact through personal knowledge of me that my life is nowhere near where I think it should be or where anybody would say that I'm successful.
Right.
And
I mean, sorry, I don't mean to agree.
I'm not offended. That's fine. And even if the conventional wisdom of you will rise to the highest level of your competence, right? The more competent you are, the higher you go. Of course, the flip side is that you rise to the highest level of your incompetence.
No.
Well, that's the joke in the bureaucratic organizations, right? I mean, you rise to the highest level of your incompetence because there seem to be all kinds of people in upper levels of management, and you just like sit there, you're scratching your head. You're like, how the hell did this fucker get there?
Isn't there jokes in the military about generals like that as well?
Well, yeah,
same type of deal.
It is. But so like if my lack of success is due to my incompetence, then I should not want the ball, but I still want the frickin' ball. I don't want other people to do stuff for me. That's just that offends my sensibilities as a person. Maybe all of my the lack of my success is due to the choices I've made that have been the wrong choices. I still want the ball.
I think a lot of people don't want the ball.
Well, then you shouldn't want the trappings of having the ball either. Then, from a logical standpoint.
That's not. I mean, nobody wants to hear logic, Dave, these days.
Well, okay.
People don't want to hear it. That's the fucked up thing about it is that like we're living in this. It's almost dystopian. I think we're living in this weird world.
Is that what dystopian means? Weird world.
Actually, I'm probably completely using the wrong expression.
I don't know what dystopian means.
It feels dystopian to me though, like being at the grocery store and seeing people in their masks and then hearing the fucking Christmas carols. That feels pretty dystopian to me. But anyway, no, it's somehow we've come to this place where people don't want the ball, where most people don't want the ball, but then they sit there and complain when things aren't going how they think they should be, and they feel like all their freedoms are being eroded. And I'm like, well, you can't have it both ways, can you? You can't have it both ways.
Freedoms aren't given.
You can't sit there and say, you know what, I'm I want this person to do stuff for me, but then I want to have, I want to feel like I'm free and like I have free will. But I think people want both. They want to have their cake and eat it too. They want to
That
have someone's soul.
That analogy always kind of got to me, and I'll tell you why after you finish your thing.
They want someone to take care of the stuff, but also feel like they're in control. And that makes no sense,
That
right?
makes
When you put it like that.
That makes absolutely no sense. The whole thing about have your cake and eat it too. The reason why that always got to me was like, of course, what good is? Why would you get cake if you can't eat it?
So you're saying that expression is dumb?
That expression hits me on a level that just I don't get it.
I need to start a little notebook of all the expressions that you don't like, so that I can remember for future reference.
Dude, I don't think it would take a cray supercomputer to remember that, because I there's so much crap that I dislike.
You just don't like you don't really like lazy speech.
I don't like inconsistency either, even in myself, which you found hard to believe until about a decade into our friendship.
Like you don't like people who say you don't like back in the day.
Oh God, yeah,
Which a lot of people use.
It was okay at the very beginning when only a few people used it, and now that everybody uses it, I'm just like it's kind of lost its edginess, its coolness.
So back in the day, have your cake and eat it too. Slippery slope.
Well, have your cake and eat it too is nonsensical. Why would you get cake if you're not going to eat it?
Yeah, I don't know.
And slippery slope, I mean, I've just heard it too much.
And it's lazy.
Slippery slope has become like happy birthday.
Well, I think a lot of the quote pundits on television use a lot of terms like that because they're lazy, because they're intellectually lazy.
I grant you that. I think intellectual laziness is a big problem, especially now. Inconsistency is probably a problem that I hate it in myself.
But why have things become so much like that? I mean, what is the root cause of? I mean, it feels like all of this is interrelated. It really does. Like the more we kind of go all over the map and talk about this, the more it feels like that there's a root cause, which is probably one single root cause that's just causing all this stuff.
Well,
all these problems.
If I put on the hat of a very good friend of mine, the root cause of all this is that we're getting away from God, is what he thinks.
Okay.
And my answer to that is, well, we pretty much got away from God the second after God said, "Yo, y'all are people, and I love you."
So when God was like, "Okay, you can choose for yourself."
No, when God created people, that's when we started getting away from them. So I don't think that is. I personally think that there has been an over validation of certain groups, and that has taken something that was off balance in anyway, and being abused into a point where it just switched. You know when I talk about the communist revolutions and stuff, and how like they didn't change anything, it basically just changed the identity.
You just ended up with a different ruling class.
Yeah,
right.
So that's basically what happened in an effort to kind of make things better, so to speak. All we really did was just change the identity of the folks that were on the up and up. But but everybody let it happen. Well, yeah, because there were like good intentions, and maybe you wanted to shut people up or whatever, but and maybe because it was easy, or because I hate this statement too. At our core, we just want to survive. The cop that beats up people for not wearing a mask, the cop that tased some woman what was it? In Australia, some cop tased some woman, right? Because she wasn't wearing a mask, but she had an exemption. Right. Oh, really? Yeah. Oh, shit. And because I think about that when I see people in the store sometimes, because like people will get on somebody, and I'm like, how do you know this person's not an asthmatic or that they don't have an exemption? Well, there are people that do that because they like to abuse power, but there are also people that do that because they just want to keep getting a paycheck. Right. Right. I mean, and I did hear one podcast where somebody was going off on cops that and I'm not going to name the podcast, but if I say Oathbreaker, then anybody that listens to that podcast will know.
Oh, is that the name of the episode?
Well, they'll know who I'm talking about. But
Right.
there's a podcaster talking about how these cops who just kind of blindly follow what the betters tell them,
Mm-hmm.
what the bosses tell them. They're oath breakers because you're supposed to swear an oath to the U.S. Constitution.
Right.
And a lot of the stuff that's going on right now is probably unconstitutional.
Oh, well, we definitely need to talk about that.
Do you want to start a new one?
Yeah.
All right, well, let's go to the next thing. Bye, guys.